In Africa, we need science. We need to understand science. Now, when I say science, I know, okay, but we say, but we study science in school. I mean, we have a lot of scientists in Africa. We have people who study different science subjects, right? But far more than that, it's not just a superficial science that we have studied in schools. I'm talking about the real science. I'm going to share a couple of things with you to understand what I'm talking about. Because I see that a lot of us, Africans, we need to understand what science is. Not the one we study in school. No. The real science. Now, let me tell you, what is science, first of all? See, we've got to understand what science is, because many of us, especially if you're a religious person, you think, science is against God, or when you're going the way of science, you're like, science and God, they're like opposites. They have said different things about science, like, maybe people who are secular, people who are, they use different terms, for those things. But when I'm going to explain it to you, you understand what science is all about. You see, first of all, you want to understand what science is. What is science? Science is the discovery of the truth. Science is the only way you discover the truth. There's no other way to discover the truth apart from science. You see, many things that we've done in Africa, many things that we know, sometimes they come from maybe what people told us, or maybe just what we think about, or maybe what we read. Let's say, maybe for example, you read the Bible, or you read some maybe holy text or something. But how do you even verify the truth? If you have found the truth, how do you verify it? How do you confirm and be sure that this is the truth without any iota of doubt? You see, it's by science, and I will show you. It's even in the scriptures, in the Bible. You're gonna understand that, because this is not even religion I'm talking about. I'm talking about our life in general. Like, when we look at many things that we're going through now in Africa, the problems, the challenges that we have on our continent, the only way we can solve our problems, the only way we can deal with our situations is by science. I'm going to show you that. Now, first of all, I'll say, okay, what is science? I said science is the discovery of the truth. When you, for example, observe something, let's say maybe you saw something, and then you'll be like, okay, I'm going to give examples of that. Now, you want to be sure, okay, is this the truth? Is this real? Is this something that's, is constant? Is it established? So you verify that by science. Now, here's the thing. If in science, okay, all right, let's start with the scientific methods. In science, we have what we call scientific methods. All right, that is the process by which you verify something. Science is backed by scientific methods. All right, so if you have something, you see, science makes it justifiable, because science is, one, the discovery of the truth, two, the discovery of an evidence-based fact, something that is based on evidence and proofs, something that is verifiable, something that is provable. You see, something that can be, justified over and over again. It is timeless, it is universal, and it can be tested over and over and over again. You see that? So now here's the thing. If you want to do science, you got to understand the scientific methods, because we understand, okay, in life, for example, we have so many questions. You see, we have so many issues, we have so many challenges, we have so many unanswered questions. Yes, and then it is by science that you get answers to those questions. It is by science that you get to understand life better, that you get to understand principles, that you get to discover the truth. You see, so there's no other way than science. because it will surely give you proofs, it will surely give you evidence for whatever you're doing. And for many of us, like I mentioned earlier, there are things that we heard, there are things that we know, but we are not sure or we are not certain about because we have not proved them or we've not backed them by science. It's not science, not just like for people who are in the West or people who are somewhere or whatever. Science is a principle, it's for everybody. It's for everybody. You see, and we must understand that as Africans, because we need it a lot on our continent. A lot on our continent, and to even teach many of our young minds to understand science and how to apply it in their lives and their endeavors. Right? So I said we have scientific methods. Now, let's look at the scientific methods. You see, first of all, you start with the scientific observation. So you start with an observation. The first thing you see is, okay, let's have examples now, all right? So, observation. Let's say you observe something. Okay, I'm going to give you examples with what is happening with us in Africa. Let's say observation is like, okay, we see a lot of Africans that are very religious or that believe in God. That's an observation. Oh, we see a lot of Africans that believe in God. Why is that? So your observation is followed by curiosity or questioning. So that's the next stage. So when you have an observation, then you move next to questioning. So you observe that, okay, there are many Africans or there are many black people in the world that are religious or they have this spirituality thing. You know, it's not hard to find that. You know, you easily observe that. Anywhere you go in the world, you see any black person, oh, I believe in God, I trust in God. It has even been backed by fact anyways. So, but let's just say you want to find out. You want to prove, you want to verify your observation by science. You want to back it by science. All right, so let's go through that process. So from observation, then to questioning, then you start questioning. Then after questioning, then you ask, okay, the question is, okay, so why is that? Why do you have heard of Africans or black people in the world that they are so religious or they believe in God? Okay, so from questioning, then you move to hypothesis, then you hypothesize. So hypothesis is like, okay, you want to have like an educated guess or prediction that, okay, no, maybe if you make some findings, maybe it could be due to because something okay, maybe it could be due to because because they were the first set of humans that were living on Earth, and then they could not have any other thing to connect to apart from the supernatural, or was it also because they wouldn't have any other choice than to depend on God, since, you know, at the early stages there was not much, you know, mental revolution, or was it because there was even something higher with their brain structure in terms of how their conscious and the subconscious mind are wired, because the subconscious mind now is connected to the supernatural, and in Africans the subconscious mind is more prominent. Okay, is more prominent in the subconscious mind of Africans is more prominent than any other race in the world. And also it's in the subconscious mind that you have the neuromelanin of the brain. You see, the neuromelanin is found in the subconscious mind. Okay, so then you're like, okay, trying to like give reasons, you know, okay, trying to come up with reasons. Okay, just beginning to hypothesize. All right, so from hypothesis, then you go to experiment. Then you begin to experiment. So there you want to get more facts. You want to prove your hypothesis. You want to verify your hypothesis, whether it is, because then you can have a list of things that could be the reason. All right, you could have a list of things that could be reasons. Okay, now with your experiment, you're gonna collect data and then justify and get evidence for your educated guess for your, I mean, what you have hypothesized. You see, so when you go on experiment now, then you want to find out, okay, with our experiment, so let's get some data to really justify what we have observed and hypothesized. Okay, so when you start collecting data, then you start processing the data, then you start putting the ideas together and all that. Then from your experiments, then you go to inference. Then you make inference. You see, and then from your inference can take you to verify again, to prove again your experiment, because from your inference, then you can find out whether what you have guessed, like what you have hypothesized, is true or not. So if it is true, that means the experiment can be conducted again, over and over and over again, and to give you the same results. Because that's the thing, because with your scientific method, if it is true and it's not false, because that's what scientific method is going to help you to do, whether your hypothesis is true or not. Because it is when your hypothesis is verified that it becomes a theory. And then from being a theory, if it has lasted for a long time, then it becomes a law. You see, then it becomes a law. So that's actually how it is. So now, based on the example that we gave now, all right, so from the level of hypothesis then to the level of experiment, then we get to understand that, okay, it's like with the experiment, then we collect data, and then we find out, okay, for the Africans, it's actually that with our data, there is neuromelanin in the brainstem, okay, and that neuromelanin corresponds actually to the level of melanin on the skin. So the higher the melanin on the skin, the higher the neuromelanin in the brain, okay. And that portion of the brain is connected to the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is connected to the supernatural or to the spiritual realm. Okay, could that be the reason why they are spiritual? Africans are mostly spiritual, or they always have these spiritual connections. Okay, so now, having collected data, now it is justified that, okay, this is the reason why blacks or Africans are religious or spiritual. You see that? So because that is backed by experiment, and then that can be proven over and over again. Like when you take any African person or black person in the world now, and then you do this experiment, you see in all their brains, you see this neuromelanin. It's there, all of them, all Africans or black people in the world. You see the neuromelanin in their brains. You see, so you conduct the experiment, and then from the experiment, then you make your inference that, okay, the reason why they hurt is because of the color of their skin, because of the melanin on their skin, which actually determine the melanin, the neuromelanin in their brain, which now makes it reasonable, for them to be spiritual or to be connected to the supernatural realm. All right, so you see that, and many other things. You see, so now it has become a law from from the inference, and we conducted the experiment over and over again, then it becomes a theory, and then from a theory then becomes a law. So now it is justified, and it is well proven that Africans or black people in the world, they are highly spiritual, or they are connected to the supernatural realm because of the color of their skin, because of the melanin. You see that? So now that is very powerful, and some other people have also experimented to even understand the power of melanin, like that's power of melanin to absorb energy to absorb ultraviolet rays from the sun, just like the way the physical melanin, I mean the one on your skin, the way it absorbs the energy from the sun, that is also the way the melanin, the neuromelanin in your brain also absorbs supernatural energy, which makes it to be charged supernaturally, spiritually. You see that? So everything is backed by science. You see, now it makes sense that, okay, so when you see a lot of black people or African people that, oh, every time they're talking about God, oh, I trust God, I believe God. You see, many of them, they believe in God, but some say, oh, but they are being delusional, they are being superstitious, they are being they are being primitive. No, but that is not true. It is justified by science. It's not just because they are primitive or they are delusional or whatever. It is just because that is their nature. That is part of who they are. You see? So, anyways, that is talking about science. That we got to understand that many things that we do as individuals, I mean, talking about us Africans now, we've got to prove them by science. We've got to prove them by science. Look at the problems we have on our continent. We've got to use scientific method to solve our problems. If, for example, look at what is going on our continent right now, like, okay, Africa. We've said it over and over again. Okay, we observed that, okay, we're having so much problems on our continent. Say leadership problems. All right, we observed that, okay, almost all the African countries, there's just leadership problem on the continent, all over. Okay, apart from the few ones that are not doing well, that took power by force, because then those ones, they saw that they were not doing well. Okay, so majority have leadership problems. Most of all this democracy, government in Africa. Now, that's an observation. You observe that, okay, we have a leadership problem in Africa. Okay, now we move to the next phase. Question: why do we have leadership problem in Africa? You see, solving our problem scientifically. Why do you have leadership problem? Question. So then we begin to hypothesize. Okay, what could be? Let's do some educational guess. Okay, maybe could it be because of the backdrop of slavery? Okay, that could be a good reason. Okay, could it be because also like we have many greedy politicians? The people that become leaders, they are among us. So the leaders are the reflection of the people. It's not gonna be like maybe the people that became leader outside the masses, they are among them. So which means there's high tendency that even if we take that one out and bring another one there, that one will also be corrupt as well. So most likely it's like, yeah, it's a picture of what is going on in the society. Okay, so which means the system has a problem. Okay. So what could be other reasons? Okay, could it be like maybe so there's some external forces that are controlling things, that are that are just engineering things from outside, and then we don't know what they are doing, all those things. Okay, could it be? Okay, now we put down different things that could be the reason. We hypothesize. Okay, after our hypothesis, then we go to experiments. Then we start collecting data, because that is very important. Everything we do must be backed by facts and evidence. So now, okay, with our experiment now, okay, we are going to collect data. Now we began to realize that, okay, with our data that we collected, we now find that, okay, more than 90% of people that got to power actually got to power with the external influence. They got to power with the external influence, with the foreign powers, putting them in power. Okay, so that is experiment that we conducted. Okay, more than 90% of them got to power by external influence. Like, mention any African country, you see external influence, and that is facts. Everything is there. Is there. We can see it, and it's also like, okay, it's well, I mean, in the open, it's well known. So then from my experiment, then we found out, okay, So there are external forces, these colonial demons that are engineering the democracy. They call it democracy, but they are the one engineering the thing, manipulating the system to put whoever they want there, and then be controlling those ones. Okay. Since there's also like a backdrop of the colonization, so they left Africa, but they have not really left Africa. Okay, so with that experiment now, we can now make inference that the leadership problem is because of the colonial agents. So now we can have a specific reason why we have leadership problem in Africa, because of the colonial agents. Because then if it's not them, most of the time when people choose leaders, they choose who they think should be the leader. It's not as if we don't have people who are capable of running the government. It's not as if we don't have brilliant minds. We don't have people who are very intelligent, who are very smart in solving our problems. It's just that we don't have the system that we allow them to get to the power. You see that? So it's all manipulated and controlled by the external forces, by these colonial demons who want to be controlling the system. You see? So like a very practical example is, for example, say Nigeria. All right, now people have been talking, people in the country have been talking, okay, in the last election that happened, many people said they voted for Peter Obi, but it's another person that got to power. It was Bola Tinubu that got to power. You see how? Because the system was manipulated. It was rigged. It was obvious to everybody. It was rigged. And then now he got to power, and then now he's doing his own thing. You know, he had to fulfill, you know, the promises that he made to the colonial demons. You know, all those ones, and you see how he's running the government. You know, so there's really no what do you call it? There's no hope for the citizens because of bad leadership, because of bad government. You see that? So now the only thing we can do is to now make sure that, okay, we get rid of the cause. And that's why we're doing all these things we're doing. Like, we first of all need to create a massive awareness among our people, because some will now come and say, okay, they think we just woke up one day and just start talking about these things. Like, we must, you know, use science to solve our problems. Like, we're not just, you know, talking about these things. Everything is backed with facts and evidence. You see, it's a well thought ideas and, you know, discussion. That it is because of these foreign agents that are controlling our system, these colonial demons that are controlling our system. That is why we've not had good leadership in Africa for so many years. You see, and if we want to get rid of that, what do? We attack them. Yes, we attack them not with weapons, not carrying physical weapons. We attack their minds, attack their thoughts, first of all, because we need to fight them spiritually, first of all. I've already been talking about that. You first need to strike them, strike their minds, strike their thoughts, so that they get their hands and their brains off Africa. Anytime they're thinking anything about Africa, because everything they think about Africa is evil, we said we destroy those evil thoughts. We destroy those evil agenda they have for Africa, and then we can face African politicians. We can face those ones and deal with them once and for all. Because anyways, we need revolution on our continent. We need a massive change on our continent, and we cannot wait anymore. We cannot be relying on false hope, on dead hope that cannot do anything. They will be giving you hope, and they have all their own children abroad, but they are giving you hope. Oh, let's hope for better tomorrow, let's hope for better Africa, but their own children are not even on the continent. Their own children are abroad. You see, these people, very greedy and wicked souls. So you're not gonna just sit down there and be watching them doing all these things they are doing. So that's why we need to take the bull by the horn. any problem we have on the continent, we have to solve them by science. We need evidence. We need to back everything with evidence and proofs. And when I say evidence, it's not just like the fact that they come and give you, like say, oh, they are giving you facts, because you also don't want to depend too much on their statistics, because yes, they have also manipulated that. That's why even when we talk about science, we must not let our science depend on their own science. Science, like I said, it is a principle. It is not dependent on anybody. It is a principle. It's a principle that helps you to discover the truth. It's a principle that helps you to get evidence-based facts. You see, so we can't even depend on the foreign statistics. Oh, let them give us foreign everything. They are, of course, they're going to manipulate, because they don't want you to be liberated anyway. So they're not going to give you they're not going to tell you the truth. So you're finding the truth from somebody who is manipulating you already. You know you cannot get the truth from that person. Exactly. So you have to go find your own truth. So the truth now is not even just like, okay, we're just there, say, okay, but show us the facts, show us the data, show us the. I'm not gonna go by the data that they're gonna give me, because yes, like I said, they are the one manipulating the system. So I can't trust whatever they're giving. Exactly. So, but I can trust first of all, my intuition. I can trust my observational skills. I can trust my own experiments and my own discovery of the truth. I can trust that. Yes. So everything backed by science, because yes, I want to engage the principle, not just whatever somebody has given. Yes, sometimes we get some information outside, but more importantly is to do your own diligent work, to engage your skills, your observational skills, your experimental skills, to get the truth. Very important. Africans, we need this. We need science to solve our problems. We need science. Even our local problems, even what we are going through, we need science. Using these scientific methods. Please like and share this video. Share. If you have not subscribed, maybe if you're on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe. If you are not followed on TikTok, please make sure you follow. And very important things we are doing, please support what we are doing. Support, very important. And I will see you in the next video. We're gonna keep talking about these things. They are very important. We're gonna keep talking about them. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching, and bye for now.